there's a pre-assessment form which we send out to all people to fill out, which gives us a bit of their previous medical history. From there, we make sure there's no contraindications through their consultant, and then I'll do a process of assessment by myself, which will consist of doing range of movement, as well as measuring their leg length. So you'll look at from the floor to the malleolus, to the joint line just below the humeral condyle, into the trochanter, and then once you've got those measurements, it's just a case of adjusting the recs, which takes about 5 minutes, and then they can get in for a transfer. So with the transfer, we've had people full hoist into the device, or some people actually transfer independently. The main part of it is sitting the recs down. You can open the legs up for easier access, and then you just transfer the user in, do all the straps, and then you're ready to go. Big lean forwards, and we'll go for a stand. That's it, lovely. Good man, perfect. The beauty of Rex really is that it's inherently stable, so it actually enables the user to have complete control over their rehab session, which is beautiful. For me as well, because it reduces the manual handling I have to do, increases my efficiency and improves the quality of treatment all in all. The user will just control the device through the joystick. They have control when they step, when they move left and right. They can also do range of movement. Another beauty of Rex is that it's completely adjustable to the user, so you can actually swap the bars over, replace it with a T-bar. Again, enabling high-level users. We've had up to C4, but that's not the limit, to get into Rex and move around independently, which is amazing for them, but also reduces the strain on me.
Getting used to walking, it didn't take me as long as I was expecting it to. It was, it came quite naturally, I felt. I mean, once I learnt the parameters of the movement, once I learnt how far I'd walk and how quickly I'd walk, once I became comfortable with those, it felt quite natural just to be able to, to push the joystick and to take the steps forwards, backwards, side to side where you need to go.
So there's no limitation to the actual pathology as to who can use Rex, but I've personally had people with MS, stroke and Parkinson's and a lot of spinal cord injury using it. The actual other limitations with regards to the parameters of Rex are things like having good baseline skin integrity. You have to be between, as a guide, 4'6" and 6'4", but it's actually down to limb length, which is the main thing. When a hospital receives a Rex, they'll receive a whole lot of training and package of support. That will last from anything between 3 days to a week, depending on their needs and the amount of users they actually have within the hospital. So we offer training to the physios, so their patients can use the Rex, and we will train them to the point where they can train other physios and other healthcare assistants to help people use a Rex. On a personal level, Rex has enabled me to reach to a much greater demographic of users. It's enabled my quality of treatment to improve, as well as my efficiency, and I really do think this is the future of physiotherapy.
I'm Sophie Morgan, an ambassador for Rex Bionics. I'm going to be explaining, as well as demonstrating, the many functions that Rex is capable of, as well as showing how easy it is to transport. Having been using Rex for over a month or so, I'm very confident transferring myself in and out unaided. I'm a level T4 complete following a car accident 10 years ago, but it's possible to use Rex with levels up to C4. To transfer, I simply open Rex's legs. I can position my chair next to Rex and transfer myself into the exoskeleton. Once I'm in and seated as far back as possible, I then fasten the straps around my shins and thighs until they're secure, but not too tight to avoid too much pressure. Also, the pads are soft and flexible and can be detached and washed. I transfer using this method, but everybody is different. It is possible to use a hoist or assistance to transfer. Once I'm ready to go, I just turn the joystick and select the stand function. By simply moving the joystick upwards, Rex then stands up. It's important to lean forward as you stand, in the same way that an able-bodied person does when standing up. There are a number of different functions that recs can carry out. Let's start with the walking. By simply selecting walk from the list of programmed actions, I can begin to move forwards or backwards. With a walking pace reduced to a third of a typical walking speed, the stability is increased and I feel more secure and safe. We have found, and I agree, that most people certainly don't want to go any faster than this. Walking backwards is important as well because it allows me to stretch my hip flexors, which get tight over time from sitting in a wheelchair. Rex is the only exoskeleton that is capable of this function. Rex is also able to turn left and right. This can be done when stationary or on the move. This is useful for navigating smaller spaces that one might find in everyday life, such as in the office or at home. I can also raise the armrests, which leave my hands completely free for more important things, whilst being stable and balanced. It's also possible to shuffle from left to right. This is particularly useful for negotiating smaller spaces and helping stretch my hips, whilst I benefit from dynamic weight-bearing activities. Each Rex comes with 2 batteries that can last for 2 hours of continuous walking and use no charge while stationary. The batteries are very easy to change. It only takes a few seconds. They can be fully recharged in 1 to 2 hours, so you should never be without power for Rex. Rex is also very portable. It is easily placed in a vehicle, either lying down flat in the back or with the knees bent and in the back seat. Once purchased, a consultation is given, as well as 3 to 5 days of training to really get the most out of Rex. I have a T4, so that's a thoracic 4 level injury. It's a complete injury. So what that means is that from the level of my injury down, which is about the chest, the top of my chest, the bottom of my chest, I have no movement and no feeling. It's a very hard thing to describe what it's like to get into a Rex. Initially it was the most surreal experience, but it's also strangely natural as well, because I was born as a person I wasn't disabled. So to get into the robot and actually walk around again is actually extremely natural to me, but it's also it's magical. It's absolutely amazing. The Rex is really, really simple to use. I can transfer into it myself and strap myself in, and then once I'm standing, it's extremely manageable. It's just a very simple control setup. And really, I've only been using it for a short amount of time and I already feel very confident in it. It feels very secure, very stable. I don't feel frightened or conscious of tipping or overbalancing or anything like that. So I think within a number of, perhaps a week or 2, I'll be absolutely and 100% independent in it. I was never really interested in trying any other exoskeleton devices, because whenever I saw any people using them, there were 2 things that struck me. One is I didn't know if my disability would actually work with those sort of devices. I didn't know if a complete injury would actually work. I didn't know what strength you needed. I didn't really know how they would work. But also, for me, it was an absolute no-brainer that once I stand up, I want to be able to do things. I want to be able to enjoy the benefit of actually being standing. And the other devices that I've seen, you have to use with crutches, and for me that was just really, that just made me not want to do it. So when I saw Rex for the first time, I was just like, that's the one for me, that's how I want to do it. I think there are really sort of 2 major benefits to using Rex. There's both the health ones, the physiological ones. So I've noticed things like, since I've been standing in it, and that's not been for very long, I've already seen that my spasms have gone down considerably. I'm sleeping a lot better. My incontinence has been affected as well. I just find that there is a shift, there's been a shift, and I'm going to be really interested to see how that evolves and what happens over a longer period of time. I'm really excited about that. But also there's the psychological benefits as well, and they really shouldn't be underestimated. Just being able to cook in my kitchen standing up, being able to do the washing off and reach higher cupboards and practical things like that, but then also really special things like being able to hug somebody properly, standing up again is absolutely indescribable. And also really just being able to talk to people eye to eye and not constantly be straining and kind of finding it hard to hear. You just feel like you're part of the crowd again, and because it feels quite small when you're in it, you don't feel that far from people, which a chair can make you feel really quite far from people. So it's a really lovely feeling. The things I want to do in it is limitless. There's so many things. Go to parties, go to weddings, go to all sorts. But I think realistically, to start with, it's just going to be about getting up every day in my home and using it properly and actually giving my body the treatment that it deserves, really, which is to stand and walk. It's hard to describe what it feels like to be in Rex. I'm constantly trying to find the right words for it. It's both very, very surreal, but also extremely natural. So it doesn't really make much sense, and I contradict myself all the time, but it's without doubt the most extraordinary feeling. And it's just wonderful. It's very surreal to be standing and see the full height of myself once again as well from that angle, but also see people eye to eye. And it's a wonderful feeling. It's an amazing feeling.